Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Curtis Selby, your tired midnight blogger. What blogs in this case at 5:45 p.m. It's been a hard day. It's been turning out to be a hard week, but I think we will endeavor to persevere. I lost 2 people by saying it was a hard week. I'm so sorry about that. So, let me say hello to everyone in the chat. We will dive into the topic, which today is Elon Musk. I want to talk about how, just kind of like Donald Trump, I've gone here and back again. I've gone from thinking he was kind of cool to thinking he was one of the villains to thinking maybe, not necessarily, but maybe he's one of the good guys. But I also want to acknowledge some of the controversy. I know he's very much a flawed human being, but he's put some rockets into space, so I'm going to take my hat off to him for that. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for showing up and being supportive. Matt Cheatwood, free speech. One of the biggest themes of this channel, not just the right to say what you want, but also to protest peacefully, to investigate and publish, to petition your government, which, while I may have been wrong about freedom of speech in Britain, they absolutely had in that Bill of Rights the right to petition their king and their parliament and to assemble in public. Hello, Connie Cleary, the faithful bird woman of YouTube. As Deleted Scenes always says, check out her second channel, Fluff Chick Productions. You will see some beautiful birds and some cute little critters being very adorable. JPRPH1, thank you very much for your prayers, your brotherly love, and your support. And thank you. You shared some of the information that I'm going to be sharing here. I will want to be as complete as I can in a 2-ish hour time span. I don't know that I'm going to do this topic justice, but if need be, I might do a 2-parter if the chat and everybody shows enough interest in it. And meow meow, Moira Kitty, the revealer of truths, the feisty Oklahoma gubernatorial candidate who gives them what for. Thank you for being here. Alrighty. This guy, he's a jerk, and he owes me money. And I want you to let me know if you find him. We're not 8 minutes in, so I probably ought to be careful, but radio did the video star. JPRPH1, Buggles, future yes members. Okay. And thank you for letting me know that I'm coming in loud and clear. There's a lot of reasons why I'm wanting to talk about Elon Musk. One is the journey that he's taken, for good or ill, from being basically a classical liberal to someone who, frankly, I still think he's a classical liberal. He's just being labeled, like all the rest of us, as hardcore right-wingers. He does have 1 or 2 right-wing policies, some ideas, and we'll get into that. The other reason why I wanted to talk to him is he's been trending on Twitter, which I've been interacting with a lot more lately because, ironically, I can mostly say what I want on there. And the only thing I really have to worry about is other idiots coming out and hollering at me, but so far I'm too small time for anyone to come after. So just be able to say whatever within reason that I want. And yes, there's consequences for what we say. We have the right to say what we want, but we're not free from consequences. But it is just so refreshing that one of those consequences isn't going to be that my tweet is taken down or my channel is taken down or I get a great big nasty gram all the time about how I am totally wrong about this topic or that topic. Occasional nasty grams, that's okay. But constant ones, they get on my nerves. All right, I'm going to turn off the soft crone music. I'm actually kind of surprised that didn't come through. That's okay, though. I kind of am glad that it did not. All right, let me get situated here. The first thing I'm going to share is just the basics. At the risk of breaking Poe's canon, I'm just going to start with the very bare bones basics. For anyone who doesn't know who Elon Musk is, someone who's literally lived under a rock or what have you, Elon Musk, South African-born American entrepreneur who co-founded, not confounded, although who knows, he's confounding a lot of people, I think. He co-founded the electronic payment firm PayPal, formed SpaceX, maker of launch vehicles and spacecraft. And I got to tell you, when I first heard about that, I was excited, and I still get excited when they have a successful rocket launch. He was also one of the first significant investors in, as well as CEO of, the electric car manufacturer Tesla. And in addition, Musk acquired Twitter, which he has renamed X, in 2022. He was born to a South African father and a Canadian mother. He displayed an early talent for computers and entrepreneurship. At age 12, he created a video game. I'm afraid I was writing really bad science fiction at the time. Sold it to a computer magazine. In 1988, after obtaining a Canadian passport, Musk left South Africa because he was unwilling to support apartheid through compulsory military service, and because he sought the greater economic opportunities available in the United States. Musk attended Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. In 1992, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, where he received bachelor's degrees in physics and economics. Interesting, I didn't know about the economics part. In 1997. So we should totally ignore everything he says about economics. Hello, Jeff B. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. We are talking about Elon Musk. Feel free to throw in your 2 cents on, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he a flawed human being who's going through the journey of life? And Moira hit the wrong key when she was trying to say hi to Connie. All right. Jeff B. is a troglodyte and does not know who Elon is. Well, you have come to the right place. We're going to tell you all about it, or at least we're going to do our best to make it worth your time. You may already know, because I'm assuming, though it's okay if it's not, that you're actually joking in there. But essentially, Elon Musk co-founded PayPal, formed SpaceX, CEO and one of the first significant investors in Tesla, and acquired Twitter in 2022. I was talking about his college education. He got bachelor's degrees in physics and economics. He enrolled in graduate school, but left only after 2 days because he felt that the internet had much more potential to change society than work. in physics. I don't think he was wrong. I wonder if we would still be hearing about him if he had continued in his physics program. I know lots of people who have very negative thoughts about Elon Musk, and I respect that I do, because he's flawed. I have my slant here. I'm more positive toward him than negative at the moment. But yeah, there are some things about Elon Musk that have often worried me. Troglodyte is a great word, and I think more troglodytes should be out voting. Jeff B says he's got more money than than me, so we got to respect that. Yeah, I mean, I do respect people for having the capacity to earn money. I know I don't want to become a sycophant and, oh my gosh, he's just so wonderful because he makes money and there's nothing he can ever do that's wrong. But at the same time, you have to admire a certain amount of talent. Even Bill Gates, who is probably my least favorite billionaire, I got to hand it to him. He knew how to accrue that dough. I will skip down a bit. In fact, I may just go on to the next thing. But essentially, he made a bunch of money with PayPal. He started SpaceX. He started launching rockets into space. He tried to get investors, and he's, I think, still trying to get people to attempt to colonize Mars. I'm dubious about that, not because I don't want Mars colonized. It seems like such a colossal thing. But I'll also admit that I would rather he succeeded as that he failed. So let's move on to the topic of Neuralink. I know I've kind of just vaguely touched on the points, but I have a lot to cover, and I really think most of you already knew that stuff. So Bill Gates is evil incarnate, and I would tend to agree. Frankly, the only thing I can say that I respect about him is his ability to make money and the library that he's built with all of his billions. I respect that. Beyond that, I'm not fond of Bill Gates at all. And if it's a choice between him and Elon, yeah, I'll take Elon. Jeff B was called a troglodyte by a past boss. And Moira is hugging him to comfort him, saying, I'm sorry, sugar. All right. So, one of the things that caused me to start to feel kind of creepy and eerie about Elon Musk in the past was a little something called Neuralink. I got an article here from BBC. Why Elon Musk's Neuralink brain implant reframes our ideas of self-identity. Cliff's Notes version, Neuralink is basically something where oversimplistically, you link your brain to maybe not the internet, but an intranet at any way. Moira Kitty says any bad guy can make money, and it helps not to have a soul. I suspect that at least after a certain point of earning money, you're likely right. I could be wrong. I don't want to be too judgmental, but I have a suspicion that it's very rare for someone to make more than about 20 or 30 million a year without at some point selling their soul. Jeff B wants to know if Musk, Gates, or Bezos has more money. Well, let's look that up. Musk, Bezos, who is the other one? Or Gates. According to Investopedia, I think they're saying Elon Musk is currently the richest man in the world with a net worth of $252 billion. After Musk is Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Other billionaires with some of the largest net worths include LVMH's Arnault, who I do not know, Microsoft's Bill Gates, Oracle's Larry Ellison, and I don't think they'll talk about it here, but I'm surprised that Bill Gates isn't higher in as he may not be as high as far as annual income, but he had decades, or at least he had over a decade of earning 50 to 100 billion a year. So, if he saved a good portion of that, and I suspect he has, it wouldn't surprise me if he had more assets than anybody. But it's honestly more than I know. But if you trust the Investopedia.com, Elon Musk is the world's wealthiest man. More Kitty says Bezos. And I think that was true until recently. And who knows? I know that it ping pongs back and forth. For a monotonous amount of time, it was Bill Gates. I'm just glad that he's not on the top anymore. So, Neuralink. When we merge mind and machine, the traditional borders of the self dissipate. That's really badly written. Anyway, in March, a man called Nolan Arbaugh demonstrated that he could play chess using only his mind. After living with paralysis for 8 years, he had gained the ability to perform tasks previously inaccessible to him, thanks to a brain implant designed by Neuralink, a company founded by Elon Musk. It just became intuitive for me to imagine the cursor moving, Arbaugh said in a live stream. I just stare somewhere on the screen and it would move where I wanted it to. Arbaugh's description alludes to the sense of his own agency. He was suggesting he was responsible for moving the chess piece. However, was it him or the implant that performed the actions? As a philosopher of mind and AI ethicist, the author Vijay Mehta is fascinated by the question. I won't read the entire thing, but after I learned about Musk, a few years after, I started hearing lots of conspiracy theories about the man. And lots of people were talking about Neuralink as being a part of the apocalypse, that essentially the Antichrist was going to use it. And there were people saying that Elon Musk was the Antichrist. And I still know some people who I actually love and respect, who they don't necessarily think he's the Antichrist, but they think he's a bad, evil person, and that Neuralink is going to be the end of humanity. I know I said that this would be a mildly positive thing, but I want to cover the negative side too. Jeff B. Musk should buy Belgium. Be like swatting a mosquito. Yeah, I know. At the very least, he could buy Luxembourg. Maybe. I think that would be cool. And, make himself Lord High Mucky Muck of Luxembourg. Connie Clear, did Doctor Who do an episode or two about that subject? I think he did. I don't remember the specifics very well, but I think he did. At any rate, if you're wondering why some people worry about Elon Musk, Neuralink is a big part of that. Maybe you remember Revelation says something about how unless you have the mark of the beast on your forehead or in your hand, you won't be able to perform any commerce. And that was the conspiracy theory, was that the Neuralink would be a thing either in your forehead or on your hand. So why am I changing my stance? Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm deceived. I'm going to share something here. I don't know that I'm going to play it. But in case you were wondering about what I'm sharing, yes, this is not the person I'm talking about, actually. I don't know this Dr. Taylor Marshall. He may be the best thing since sliced bread, or he may be a sleazy televangelist. That is why I'm kind of hesitant to play anything that he has, because I don't really want to waste your time. I just wanted to present this to let you know that there are people out there who are talking about that. I was trying to find some of the better things that I used to listen to back in the 2000 teens, but even DuckDuckGo wouldn't pull some of the stuff up. So I assume either the stuff's been taken down, or that even DuckDuckGo just doesn't really want to let anyone remember that stuff. And maybe that's for the best. Life goes on. So let's see. The next thing I want to present is Elon Musk on his own family history. Give you a little bit more detail about where the man comes from.
American from Minnesota, and my mom was born in Canada, so I do have some American background. In fact, a lot of people think like my name must be from some exotic location, but I was named after my great grandfather, who was from Minneapolis, or actually St. Paul, I should say, and he was like a school superintendent and part-time sheriff in 1900, and I was named.
Side note, my great-granddad was a sheriff, but yeah, anyway, there it is.
Named after him. So I'm actually from Africa, named after my American ancestor.
From the Midwest,
yeah,
of all places.
Right.
What took your family to South Africa?
My grandfather moved with all his kids and my mom and everyone to South Africa because he wanted to use it as a base of exploration. So he had this little plane that he liked to fly all over the place. And he flew it all through Africa and Asia. And he was the first person to fly from South Africa to Australia.
And I think that would explain why he has the fascination in spaceflight, at least in part.
And he did this in a plane with no electronic instruments. And in some places they had diesel, in some places they had gasoline, and he had to rebuild the engine according to whatever fuel they had. So it's lucky he survived on that one. But he was sort of an amateur archaeologist. He liked to explore things.
Just for exploration, just a quest for curiosity. Seems to run in the family.
Yeah, I guess so.
So there you have it. Quest, exploration, that, according to him, is part of his family background. So it swings back to me liking him a little bit better, or at least being a little less scared of him. So on the point of his humanity, he's had a lot of struggle with SpaceX. It's a very trying thing. Quite often the rockets don't go. Sometimes they just blow up. And evidently the government wasn't very keen on having a private person kind of give them a little bit of competition. So I'm going to share a little bit here about what he says about that.
When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor.
First stage engine sequence initiated.
3, 2, 1.
4 years after starting, SpaceX rolled out its first rocket, an unmanned booster called the Falcon 1.
Falcon has cleared the tower.
But the first 3 test flights failed to reach orbit.
We are hearing from the Launch Control Center that there has been an anomaly on the vehicle.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
We have liftoff.
And this time around, everything worked.
Perfect.
You believe that your rocket will be the next American rocket to take?
And I want to pause there. I do respect that. I've always respected that Rocky mentality, that whole, I'm not going to give up no matter what. Of course, a villain can have that capacity as well, as we all know from watching really great martial arts films. But I do respect that whole aspect of just not giving up.
Take an astronaut into space.
I believe that is the most likely outcome, yes.
There are people who've been in the rocketry business for decades who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
When critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
But SpaceX's lack of experience bothers some NASA legends like Apollo astronauts Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan.
And that's got to hit hard. That's got to be heavy on anyone that's trying to explore space. If Neil freaking Armstrong didn't like you.
Testified to Congress that the Obama administration's drive to commercialize space could compromise safety and eventually cost the taxpayers.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
Now is the time to overrule this administration's pledge to mediocrity.
And as a side note, I was so upset with Obama when the space shuttle was scrapped. But then I learned that was actually originally George Bush's idea. So I guess I have to be angry at both of them. It always kind of hurt my feelings. I understand that, we don't want to keep blowing up space shuttles. I do get that. But it friggin' broke my heart that, we gave up. We just decided that the space race is not anything that we really care about. For that matter, it breaks my heart. We've never gone back to the moon. We decided instead of focusing on that we would focus on the frickin' Vietnam War and the CIA, FBI, and ATF taking over and ruling everyone's lives.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
So they're hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone. And I would hope for as much support in that direction as we can receive.
He reminds me a little bit of a book that I read by Robert A. Heinlein called The Man Who Sold the Moon. Robert A. Heinlein's vision was that it wouldn't be the government that got us to the moon. It would be entrepreneurship. And the premise of the story was there was this great entrepreneur who essentially just built business ideas. He forced a moon landing to be a profitable thing. And the beauty of that story is he puts the first man on the moon in 1971, because you got to remember all this is before Apollo. And he never goes to the moon. And finally, as an old man, he charters a rocket to the moon, doesn't tell anybody who he is. And he gets to spend his last moments on the moon. It's a beautiful story. So if you like science fiction, especially Robert Heinlein's Boy Scout era stuff, The Man Who Sold the Moon, it's wonderful. Mechi with the NASA astronauts are the production of the Leviathan. Not wrong. Jeff B. Elon may be the one to rescue that Boeing rocket and peeps. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I hadn't thought of that, but that is a good point. So, moving on, he's putting people out into space. He's making crap tons of money. He's being very controversial. Ex-girlfriends don't like him. People claim that a lot of his profits are trumped up, and I have nothing to comment on that because I don't know, and I have no idea how to find out. But basically, the long and the short of it is, I was more negative toward him than positive for nearly a decade. I just couldn't get over that fear of Neuralink, and I haven't totally shaken that even yet. But the thing that drove him back toward being nearly a neutral figure to me was when he bought Twitter. It's one of the reasons why I made that the thumbnail for this. To me, even if he ends up putting a man on the moon or something, that won't be his. To me, that will not be his definitive thing. His definitive thing, to me, and I know I probably sound like someone who's drunk the Kool-Aid, but I see him as our last best chance for saving free speech. I hate that it has to be on one person, and that actually scares me. But that's how I will see him if I end my days thinking of him in a positive way.
Richest man is now promising a Twitter makeover, renaming his own account Chief Twit and proclaiming the bird is freed. Elon Musk carried a kitchen sink into Twitter HQ this week, tweeting, "Let that sink in." Then fired senior execs once closing the $44 billion deal. For years, Twitter has battled hate speech and disinformation. Today, a raging debate over what Twitter is now and will soon become.
This is a company that's been held hostage by its woke employees, held hostage by its woke users.
I don't think this is about politics. I think this is about safety. I really do. I think people like Ayatollah Khamenei shouldn't be on when they threaten Jews because people end up getting hurt.
Musk calls himself a free speech absolutist, arguing for fewer restrictions and lifting the ban on former President Trump.
One thing that I want to point out is I did not know this until I listened to Matt Taibbi, but Twitter, while they were banning Trump and numerous other people who arguably may not have been the greatest people in the world, was still allowing the Iranians to tweet out lots of really lovely things themselves. Now, and I also know that Moira would probably point out that there are bad elements in the Israeli administrations. They just tweet out whatever they want. No problem at all. Matt Cheatwood, it's past time for us to stop idolizing safety above all else. Freaking man. Don't get me wrong. I think I probably value safety about as much as any reasonable person, but it's absolutely worthless, if I can't say what I feel I need to say, if I can't think the way I feel led to think, it's worthless without that.
Accused of encouraging violent acts.
I think it was a morally bad decision, to be clear.
Agreed.
And foolish in the extreme.
But today, more anonymous neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic, and racist tweets. Musk trying to reassure the advertisers posted, Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences.
Ultimately, advertisers are going to be very frustrated and may leave in massive numbers if he doesn't tamp down on this stuff.
Musk now says Twitter will form a content moderation council with diverse viewpoints, and no reinstatements or content decisions will happen before that council convenes.
Now, I know that was all past news, but I am curious on what everyone thinks about those last few things that were said. I don't want to say too much because you probably already know what I think and what I want to say. But I'd love to give you guys a few minutes or a few seconds anyway. Please feel free, throw out some thoughts in the chat and see what are your thoughts on the way that was reported. If I was smart, I would probably run some Jeopardy music. I wonder if that would get me taken down if I did. YouTube. Jeopardy music. Oh my gosh, they have a 10-hour Jeopardy music thing. Well, I don't know that I want a 2-minute timer of Jeopardy music. Here, how about 31 seconds? I think that hopefully would be enough. And yet not be just complete silence. So yes, here we go. Maybe. Oh, no, I guess I should click play. Huh. You know what would have made Jeopardy better? Vanna White. All right, let's see what everyone's answers was and what everybody bid. Okay, Matt Wood, his position, your position has been and will always be any platform that censors, moderates content must be liable for the content it does allow. And I would agree with that. Matt Wood, as for the reporting, I see clear left-leaning bias. And I tend to agree, but further, I feel like it was a little bit threatening. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you know, if he doesn't get things squared away, investors may flee. I don't remember Walter Cronkite reporting like that. Even if I got to do this someday. Someday I've just got to get 3 or 4 sets of reporting and line them up with 3 or 4 sets of old Walter Cronkite reports. I wonder if they even have them out there for me to find. So he bought Twitter. Something else he did that I did not. Yes, I'm sorry, Jeb B. He was getting ice for his green tea. Possibly a more useful use of your time than sitting there listening to Jeopardy music. I don't know. Something I did not know about. JPRPH1 sent me this, and I'm going to share with you. I've watched most of the stuff that I'm going to share with you, but I have not watched this. But I'm still interested enough in it that I'm willing to take the risk, and hopefully this will be interesting. But according to the website, the YouTube site, Innovative Techs, Elon Musk managed to solve the energy crisis in Australia. I would be interested to know how he did that.
Changed radically in March 2017 when Tesla's vice president of energy products, Lyndon Rive, tweeted that the company could build a large enough industrial battery to solve the power supply problems in South Australia, and this will take no more than 100 days. This tweet was reacted by an Australian businessman, co-founder of the Atlassian IT company, Mike Cannon-Brookes.
Now, I got to say that does sound like a pretty intimidating thing. I mean, but let's see what happened. I'm assuming it ends up well, but who knows? Maybe this is clickbait, and I'll end up wishing I'd clicked on some bikini model instead. But I doubt it. JPRPH1 has pretty good judgment. So
Brooks, saying that if Tesla really has the resources to create a system in such a short period of time, he would get the money and negotiate with the government. After just 18 hours, Musk reacted by stating that the company would build the system in 100 days. Otherwise, the entire project would be funded by Tesla. To cut the long story short, it took only 3 influencers, 3 tweets, and 18 hours to solve a problem that has plagued South Australia for decades. Other companies...
That's incredible. Let's see how they did that.
Were willing to build similar storage facilities at a higher cost and longer. For example, Zen offered to build a storage facility for $75 million, and only by the summer of 2018. They simply did not believe that Tesla could meet this deadline. Besides, experts doubted that the project would be profitable. The skeptics who said the talks would not go beyond Twitter were wrong. Tesla managed to meet the deadline. The construction of the system cost Australia $32 million.
So basically, just roughly half of what the other company would have done it for.
The world's largest battery pack installed by Tesla in South Australia plays an important role in both the region's energy sector and its economy. Just 2 weeks after launch, the battery provided South Australia with power during disruption at a local coal-fired power station. The battery quickly responded to abrupt changes in the power grid. When the coal power station blacked out, the Tesla station reacted to this event within milliseconds. The station reaches full capacity from 0 to 100 megawatts in 140 milliseconds. And in
I remember when I was reading Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal, there was a skating rink. Where was that? It's one of those famous, iconic places in New York City, and I'm having a senior moment. But it was down for years, and it was this big, ugly eyesore. And finally, Trump just went in with his company and freaking fixed it. And I can't remember the time frame or the money spent, but I remember it was an incredibly short amount of time and an incredibly low amount of money considering what was done. You can say what you want about some of these people, but they do know how to get shit done. Now, I'm sure they also have some glaring failures, but they do know how to get shit done on occasion.
In its first year of operation, it saved the Australian authorities more than $30 million. The region's administration and grid operators have already expressed their admiration for the system's performance. According to the officials' calculations, the battery capacity is about 2% of the conventional capacity of the entire network. At the same time, this 2% gives as much as 55% savings on operating costs. According to Tesla representatives, such significant savings were achieved due to the fact that during periods of drawdown in energy production, gas generators are used significantly less than before. They run on fuel, the cost of which is very high, but the battery receives energy from wind and power stations. The energy they generate is cheaper than fuel energy. Thanks to Tesla's intervention, the price was kept at $200 per megawatt.
Not bad. I wonder if Australia would share some of their energy savings by, I don't know, freeing their people from not being
compared to 9,500 before. However, electricity prices in the rest of Australia are still breaking records. In an interview with Australian media, Elon Musk was surprised at amounts that Australians have to pay monthly for electricity, promising to change the situation for the better. One of the remedial steps will be the construction of the world's largest virtual power station with a capacity of 250 megawatts. Tesla plans to connect 50,000 homes to the system by 2022. In the future, such stations may even become an excellent energy alternative to fired fuel stations around the world.
So there he is. He's doing his Neuralink thing. He's doing his Tesla thing. He's doing his rocket ships. He's building power plants. But just as we had talked about, the media was rattling sabers about advertisers possibly leaving Twitter if basically, I mean, again, I don't want to completely do your thinking for you, but basically they were threatening that advertisers might leave if things weren't handled in a specific way. Hopefully that's a vaguely neutral way to put it. Matt Cheatwood, decentralization is the only thing that makes sense to me. Yeah, no, I think that ceteris paribus, I'm usually for decentralization. I know that there's times and places for it. You got world wars and stuff like that, but by and large, I like to drive power structures down closer to the individual. But as had been threatened, a fair number of advertisers did leave Twitter. Probably all of you remember the famous response.
Somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising? Blackmail me with money? Go f yourself. But go f yourself. Is that clear?
Now, here's the deal. My liberal friends were so upset at him. And while I kind of wrestled with it and wasn't sure how I felt about it, I wasn't upset with him, partly because I know a little bit about some of these corporate hacks that he's dealing with. They're not exactly nice, good people. They're more than willing to threaten you. They're more than willing to basically take away your livelihood. I couldn't really find it in my heart to side against him, even if I wasn't 100% sure that that was the great thing to do or say. Jeff B., just a stupid Tesla factoid. Autos were named Model S, 3, X, and Y. That's fantastic. That's just fantastic. JPRPH1, I enjoyed his response. I'm afraid I did too, right or wrong. And so, especially because it was aimed at hi Bob. Yeah. Again, I don't know all the details. There may be some stuff that I'm not taking into account whereby he actually is wrong. But I don't like bullies. I don't like people who threaten. Dad always, this is going to sound like I'm tougher than I really am. Dad always taught, don't threaten, just do it. If you're going to do it, just do it. No warnings, none of that, because the intimidation, you're going to have to do it anyway. Once you do the threat. Basically, I was taught, live in peace, be kind. If it comes down to it, though, don't threaten, just do it. And I've learned that mostly it's fucking bullies and stuffed shirts that do threats. The actual tough guys, well, 90% of the time, they're not threatening anybody at all. But when it comes time to throw down, they throw down. JPRPH1, I think he's bringing some legal action against those advertisers. And I don't know the specifics either. I think it has something to do with antitrust, which I think is either clever or I mean, to me, it seems clever because on one hand, I can hear my liberal friends now, well, he told them to go F themselves, but then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not getting the money. But honestly, he doesn't exactly seem to be bankrupt. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but he's the wealthiest man in the world still. And maybe it's hubris, but I get the feeling of I have, all these hundreds of billions of dollars, and you're actually going to threaten me with your tens of billions? Really? Yeah. But I believed that I was seeing a change in heart, and I didn't understand exactly what it was coming from. And so I kind of hid and watched, and we all know that he basically went from being a classical liberal who didn't really say or do much about politics to being, he's got a lot of political tweets on there now. And, possibly they're not all correct. I don't know. but they say a lot of the same things that I've been wanting to say for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And then, as we all know, Trump actually had the assassination attempt. I know that's controversial too. Hashtag staged event was the top trending thing a couple of days ago. I thought about talking about that, but I felt more inclined to talk about the strange change of Musk endorsing Trump, having him on the interview. And I know the media reported that it was a shambles and it was a rambling thing. And there's some truth to it that there's rambling. I'm not going to say that that was the most structured, brilliant transmission that I ever heard. But it also wasn't anywhere near from the worst thing I ever heard either. JPRPH1, I think this also happened when he took in on Gina's case. And she did a photo on my way with Nelson Peltz too around this time. Yeah, that's another thing. My liberal friends were torn when Gina was fired, because on one hand, she's hot and she was doing really good in the show. But then one of them pointed out, and it's true and correct, that basically she signed a contract saying she wouldn't talk about politics. So in their eyes, and for a while in my eyes, okay, that's legit. I signed a contract to the company saying I wouldn't talk about these things, and then I talked about these things, and now I'm fired. I thought about doing a thing about this as well. Why are they hiring back, say, Mark Hamill when he's saying political things? The point isn't that I agree or disagree. Why is one person fired, the other person is not? We see people, I don't really even know who they are, so I'm not going to try to name names, but we see people dancing and singing about how white people are hateful and racist. I would think that's a political thing. Why is that person not fired? Again, I'm not talking about whether they're right or wrong. That I would think would be in everybody's contract. Why are we enforcing it for one person and not the other people? It's fair enough that you can say, well, Mark Hamill's an icon. He is the soul of Star Wars. There's no way we're going to fire him for saying something political. Well, what about the others, though? They're not the soul of Star Wars. They're not icons. What's the explanation for them? Jeff B. heard over 1 billion views and interactions on the internet. Yeah. And again, that the volume of people viewing it, I listened to it, not all the way through, but I kept falling asleep, frankly, because I'd listened to it late at night. But I listened to it as much as I could for about 2 or 3 times. And again, it wasn't brilliant, but it was also kind of a breath of fresh air to be hearing Trump without somebody interrupting him, without somebody insulting him, without somebody trying to tell him that he's a tyrant and a despot and this and that. Once again, the point isn't whether he's right or wrong. The point is, I'm tired of having a narrative shoved down my throat. I'm really sick of it. And I love that Elon Musk is presenting a platform where we can hear things. Maybe it's the other side that's going to ram stuff down our throat. Well, you know what? We'll have the intelligence to see that. We'll have the presence of mind to say, oh yeah, what Trump said there, that was really silly. Or what so-and-so said there, that's obviously just a bunch of political hot air. And to be fair, DJ Ronnie G, I don't know if he signed that contract, but here's my question my response to that. Why is it in her contract? I mean, why are we choosing? We're either choosing who has it in their contract, or we're choosing who we're enforcing it on. Either way, how is that fair? And I'm not saying that to call you out, DJ Ronnie G. I'm just saying that that's my response to that. And I think you understood. Thank you for what I'm trying to say. And hello for being here, by the way. I'm all full of myself. I'm not saying hi. Matt Cheatwood, selective enforcement. One law for me, another for the JPRPH1 Pedro. And people are saying hi to each other. Pascal. Oh, vote for Pedro. I agree. I kind of wish I could. JPRPH1, Pedro made some comments too. Oh, yeah, that's what you're trying to say. And again, that's not, I don't want to get too deep in the segue of that. But long and the short, Trump had his assassination attempt, and Elon Musk, he went from kind of being a waffling equivocator like me to formally endorsing him. Now, I haven't quite gone that far, although it won't take much of a push at this point to get me there. But Elon Musk endorses Trump, calls him tough. The billionaire CEO of Tesla publicly endorsed Donald Trump for the first time in the U.S. presidential race. This was July 13, reported in Reuters. Musk, the world's richest man, posted the endorsement with a video of Trump with blood on his face, pumping his fist after multiple shots rang out at Trump's rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday. Trump was safe. The post cements Musk's shift towards right-wing politics and hands Trump a high-profile backer in this quest to return to the White House in the November 5 elections. I fully endorse President Trump and hope for his rapid recovery, Musk posted. The martyr lived, he wrote. I didn't catch that. In a later post, citing a reported debate between conservative venture capitalist Peter Thiel and LinkedIn co-founder and Democratic megadonor Reid Hoffman. Musk later posted a photograph of Trump at the event, followed by last time America had a candidate this tough was Theodore Roosevelt. Musk and representatives from X did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Musk, who has been ramping up criticism of U.S. President Joe Biden, has donated to a political group working to elect Trump, Bloomberg reported on Friday, citing sources. The South African-born businessman's sway tends to benefit Trump since Musk was one of the largest footprints on X with 189.5 million followers, meaning his posts can instantaneously spread widely. Musk has said he previously voted for Democratic presidential candidates Hillary Clinton as well as Biden. However, in the last few years, and this is what I want you guys to understand. This is what I'm really trying to communicate to my liberal friends. I'm not listening, or at least I'm not sharing with anybody anything that's coming from hard right-wing sources. These are not neo-zanies. This is not old Rush Limbaugh material. This isn't Glenn Beck. It's a classical liberal who has come to realize that the current Democratic Party is just not what it should be. In the last few years, Musk has espoused right-wing views, which I disagree. Except for one thing, I disagree. But to me, it's mostly just that he's espousing free speech. That used to be the Democrats' bailiwick. He's become a fierce critic of diversity initiatives. Yeah, well, I will make no comment there. Biden's immigration policies, which, yeah, they suck. I'm sorry. And complaining that Democrats have given a very cold shoulder to Tesla and his rocket company SpaceX. Well, yeah. We don't like people to give us cold shoulders. In March, Trump, who is expected to be formally nominated, we all know that he did. In July 2022, Musk said that Trump was too old to be president of the United States. Trump needed to sail into the sunset. Musk also said he was leaning towards supporting Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Then in late 2022, Twitter reversed its ban on the former U.S. president. Shortly after Musk completed his $44 billion purchase last month, Trump said he was a fan of Elon. And I remember him giving speeches before Elon purchased Twitter. that were actually pretty critical of the guy. It's one of the reasons why I'm interested in this dynamic. It's like they went from criticizing each other to being supportive of each other, for good or ill. People saying hi, entering a tunnel, be safe, sir. DJ Ronnie G, if not in her contract or if the enforcement is unequal, that's why I'm typing like red. And both are unfair. Yeah, I agree. Matt Cheatwood, I'll be right back. It's time to feed the goats, pigs, and chickens. Very good. And I have about 30-some minutes before I need to call this a stream. So, Musk said at a recent Tesla shareholder meeting that the two men had some conversations. Trump has reiterated his pledge to immediately abandon the Biden administration's mandate to support the electric vehicle industry. And that's another interesting thing to me, too. Wouldn't you think that if the Democrats are going to mandate electrical vehicle things like at least some people are reporting, wouldn't you think that Musk would be supportive of that? There's got to be something that's outweighing that concern for him to make this change. Musk's support for Republicans and his anti-Semitic. Someone's going to have to educate me because I've read a fair number of his tweets, but I have yet to read one that I actually thought was anti-Semitic. Some of them are I'm having a senior moment. Some of them are critical of the Israeli government, but I haven't read one that I thought anti-Semitic, but please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Other controversial comments have alienated some Tesla customers, weighing on the car maker's reputation and sales. So, something going on. And I wondered what that was. It made no real sense to me. Why are you making this shift, and why is it so sudden? Now, the thing with the assassination attempt, that made sense to me because it caused me to shift too. But I didn't understand, how did we get from the point A where you're buying Twitter and you're pretty much anti-Trump to point B where you're supporting him, you're giving him money, you're telling people that you're willing to serve as some head of Department of Governmental Efficiency. No, and I agree with that too, 100%. Jeff B., let the market set prices, not the government. I think I doubt that this is news to anyone. But again, part of the reason for this channel is to think out loud, to explore, how did we get here? How did we get from where you had classical liberals who believed in free speech to this time where classical liberals are saying, hey, the Democratic Party left us. And not only that, but we're now supporting the Republicans, even though we don't like a lot of their policies. They're at least, in spite of what the media says, we don't believe that the Republicans are the threat to democracy. We believe that the media has lied to us on numerous occasions, and we believe that this current set of Democrats is the true threat to democracy. Oh, someone sent me something about the anti-Semitic issue. You know what? I'll go ahead and share that. So we will be learning together if I'm smart enough to get this to work. I have not watched this, so if it turns out to be raw crap, I'm sorry. DJ Ronnie G is at a bus stop and we'll only enter one more tunnel. Excellent. Be safe. Let's see what we can learn about anti-Semitism. This was contributed by, let me know in the chat if you want me to share that you're sharing this stuff. Sometimes people just want to be anonymous, but I also want to give you credit if you want it.
Feeling the heat tonight from advertisers over at X, the site formerly known as Twitter, after he endorsed a tweet that Jewish communities, this was the tweet, that Jewish communities push the same hatred they want people to stop using against them. And to that message, Elon Musk said, "You have said the actual truth." Interesting that when you try to open the account from which that tweet came, X hides it with a health warning. The computing giant IBM has since suspended its advertising on the platform after its ads were placed next to similarly anti-Semitic posts. In fact, one of them, we're told, that mentioned Adolf Hitler. X said it does not intentionally place brands next to this kind of content, but we are told other ad buyers are also considering their position. In fact, in the last few hours, we've seen more companies pulling out. Apple and the movie producer Lionsgate, who released their new Hunger Games film earlier today. So, Mick, some context to this.
So, help a tired blogger figure some stuff out here. Somebody posted something saying, and Moira Kitty, if you're still in the chat, this is at least very nearly one of the central messages of your channel. Not being anti-Semitic, but critical of certain Israeli institutions that some people, Moira, basically some of these institutions seem to throw out the same hate that they condemn in others. Now, at the risk of being anti-Semitic myself, I actually agree with that. Some of them do. I don't want to make a blanket statement because I don't know enough to be that way. I don't want to condemn in any way all Jews or everyone in the Jewish government, but there are elements out there that seem pretty hypocritical in condemning the hatred of certain Muslims, but yet being themselves pretty hateful. I don't understand how that's anti-Semitic. And for Elon Musk to agree with that, I don't understand how that's anti-Semitic. I do call a BS on Twitter just suddenly hiding it. That does seem a little bit cowardly to me. But let's see what this guy's analysis is.
The original post was perceived by the White House and the US media as a reference to this long-time trope that somehow Jews have this secret plan to bring in illegal migrants to weaken white majorities. That's what it's about. The White House said today...
I guess I should have listened to the original tweet because I don't understand how that's got anything to do with what they just said. Please put in the comments if you caught something that I didn't. It seems to me to be the exact same. I won't go there. But it seems like a little bit of a jump in the logic. It's saying that some Israeli government institutions are hateful does not seem to me to be the same words or the same sentiment as, oh, the Jews are just a big bunch of replacement people and they're funneling all this replacement stuff. And yeah, I've been reticent to even bring up replacement theory here for all kinds of reasons. One is I need to do some more research before I can really intelligently talk about it. But number two, I don't understand. I just don't understand the leap in logic. Maybe it is self-evident to the liberal friends. I don't know. I don't, but I don't get it. As a wannabe centrist, I've not learned enough about replacement theory, likely, but I don't see how one statement equals the other. And hello, Sashi, the man from the future. Yeah, no, good point. They freely advertise over here in Malaysia. The government is openly against Israel. It's all optics. None of them really care about any of this. No, agreed. And Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Thank you very much for showing. I think that was a plant. Musk is suing the organization responsible for tweeting it out. The name escapes me at the moment. Oh, so, okay. Well, that would be legit. If it turns out that that was basically a spammer or some kind of not great organization, one, I could see how that could muddy the waters a little, although I still don't understand the jump in logic. And two, I could understand how, we're not going to reward spammers, even if they say something that's true. Like the last spammer that tried to get money out of me said that I was devilishly handsome and that I was the most wonderful man who could rescue any woman from the terrible hell that her life is. All of that's true, but it still made a spammer, and I had to block them. All right, let's finish this up.
We condemn this abhorrent promotion of anti-Semitic and racist hate in the strongest terms. We all have a responsibility to bring people together. And they are saying that this is the sort of trope that was behind the attack on the synagogue in Pittsburgh. And here we have Elon Musk promoting it.
Elon Musk is
I don't see that he's promoting it. He agreed with a statement, unless there's something in the context I'm missing. Again, please feel free to enlighten me here or point out whatever I missed.
He's very rapidly running out of friends all over the place. There's very few people right
I like him better than I used to, but I digress.
now, Christian, in Washington, D.C., who don't have any friends. It's pretty much the Chinese big tech writ large.
What? Have I finally lost my mind? What is he saying?
And right now, Elon Musk. You don't see anybody coming to his defense. You can't blame IBM for doing
I'm coming to his defense. I'm just saying.
this. And the excuse they gave is completely irresponsible and not believable. This is a tech firm. They did line up ads with posts. It's what they do. There's part of their algorithms. So for them to say they have no control or they have no
I'm not sure what to make of this. I'm glad that it was shared because I'm glad to know at least a little bit about what that is. I think I'm going to let the rest of it go, though, because unless they just say something really brilliant after the fact, I feel like anything beyond that first minute of reporting is kind of just, with respect to the person who shared this with me, I'm glad that you did. But I think everything past that first minute is frankly a waste of our time. Anytime someone praises me, I automatically think scam. Yeah, sadly, I agree, Sashi. It's one of the problems I have with a girl that I'm dating. She's very kind and stuff. And I'm like, wait, what is that? I don't know how to react to that. But I think she's a legitimately sweet woman. So, all right. So I am going to, because I got about maybe 20 minutes at the most. No. I'm going to share this now that this has been sent to me. Okay, so let's. I may be taking too much of a risk, but the man's been accused of being anti-Semitic. Here's this anti-Semitic quote unquote person visiting Auschwitz. Let's see if this visit. I mean, hell, he's with Ben frickin' Shapiro. I don't mean to be disingenuous, but it's hard for me to believe that an anti-Semite is going to hang out with Shapiro at Auschwitz. But let's play this and see. Maybe he'll just start shouting anti-Semitic epithets at Shapiro, and I will have to eat crow.
I was divided into smaller sectors, so I mentioned the story of Thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Oh my God, it's so obvious. This guy is completely anti-Semitic. Oh, I take it all back. He's the next thing to Mustache Man.
Ben, please.
Oh, look. Thank you for sharing that, sir. Look, yeah, the cynic in me wants to say this could easily just be a photo op. And yeah, that's totally possible. But at the risk of further alienating my liberal friends, I've watched a fair amount of Shapiro's stuff. I don't think he's going to. I think he has too much pride to let someone that he knows to be anti-Semitic to come with him to Auschwitz and celebrate a Jewish traditional. I should know the term, but whatever the heck they were doing. Mr. Lundell, Elon is simply off the reservation. Well, yeah, and that's fair enough. I'm probably off the reservation myself. Sashi, they just hate him because he's African American. Yes. Jeff B, yeah, perception becoming reality for too many. And I know I probably need to be careful about that myself. And JPR Peach one, yes, the rap star Shapiro, famed artist of the rap song Facts. And I know this is terrible, this is bad, but I actually loved that song. Condemn me if you must, but I actually loved that one. So I got about 20 minutes. I'm going to spend it by sharing what I think we've learned. And it's, again, likely not news to any of you. But I've been asking myself, what in the world has caused the shift in Elon Musk over the last 2 years? Probably I was the last person to find out about it. That's why you come to Tired Blogging, to hear a floundering old man learn things that you already knew. JPR Peach 1, he hit #1 across genres. And I'm sorry, that's funny. That is, even if you disagree with his politics, man, you got to admit, you just please be intellectually honest enough to admit that it's funny as hell that Shapiro is a frickin' #1 rap artist. Only in America could that happen. DJ Ronnie G. Yeah, Sashi probably is the smartest person here. He's won the lottery, so just pay $2,500 for taxes. I'll cut you a check for $50,000. Yes, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to share this. Again, likely old news to all of you, but I want to share it, and I kind of want to know what you guys think about it as far as this being a part of the motive for why he's had the change in heart. I know there's definitely two ways to look at this. I don't want to be completely unfair or a Kool-Aid drinker, but I'm going to share what he said on an interview with Jordan Peterson, and let me know. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I guess it's going to have to be like that. Unless one of you knows how to get that to expand, or maybe this. Okay, there we go.
It's part of puberty.
Exactly. It's just part of growing up.
To put it into context, for those who don't already know, they're talking about the very controversial idea of young teenagers transitioning, and I don't want to get into that topic here. I know it's really silly of me to say that now that since I'm bringing it up. What I'm really wanting to focus on is not whether transitioning is good or bad, but what's the psychology of this person who's changing his side. DJ Ronnie G, jokes aside, when I worked retail, some people were kind with genuine praise, but when someone laid it on too thick, I felt a strong sense of suspicion. Dr. Dreidel. Yeah, you're the one who brought that to my attention. Sashi, I've never won anything before. Where do I send the check?
It's very possible for adults to manipulate children who are having a natural identity crisis into believing that they are the wrong gender.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that they need to be the other gender, or they need to be a boy, or boy needs to be a girl, and that will solve all their problems. And that will solve their problems, and then they give them sterilizing drugs, which are called also a misnomer, puberty blocker. These are sterilization drugs, so they can never have children again.
Yeah.
They can have double mastectomies. The mutilation.
Have their forearms stripped to build non-functioning penises.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of angst in that part of the interview. So I'll give my liberal friends that I can understand. If I was on their side of the aisle, I would be hating every word being said here. I do not hate every word being said here. I don't know that I exactly agree with some of the attitude, but I agree with most of the statements, as in, people are getting things done to themselves. And I don't know that I agree with all the sentiment, but when it comes to children, I think that's a different issue. If you're 18, this is just my opinion, take it for what it's worth. If you're 18 and you want to change your gender and all that, knock yourself out. I'm not going to stand in your way. I'm not going to say that you're bad. I'm still going to treat you like a human being. I'm still going to love you with Christian love, and the child as well. But I don't understand the whole idea of someone under 18 having that choice. Maybe that makes me a bad person.
Yeah, it's macabre. We have an age of consent for a reason. That
is the point. I'm going to play a little bit more because I got a little bit more to share, but we have an age of consent for a reason. Man, I'm really tempted to do something that's a totally unfair strategy, but for a similar reason that I can't have intimate relations with a woman that's under a certain age. A woman that or a man under a certain age shouldn't be able to make a decision about altering their body. Piercings, I don't know, that might be one thing. Tattoos, that might be one thing. If your parents agree, that might be one thing. But just carte blanche, I want to be a man today instead of a woman. I don't accept that. I just don't accept that. DJ Ronnie G, you were talking to the same spammer I was talking to, weren't you? Yeah, we accept iTunes gift cards. They're all about them gift cards, aren't they? Sadly, I've talked to enough of them to know a little bit about that.
The reason you can't get, say, tattoos below age 18, or drink or drive, there are ages at which you can do things, because if we allow children to take permanent actions when they're 10, 12, 14 years old, they will do things that they subsequently greatly regret.
Yes, I've interviewed a couple of people who've done exactly that, and it's
Right.
damn painful.
So
Jordan Peterson, while he is a very controversial figure, is also he's a psychologist. He's a therapist. When he talks about these issues, he has both science and practice on his side. Now, I can agree that sometimes maybe he has he has too much attitude when he talks about some things. I'll agree with that. But he's not just blowing smoke out. He knows what some of the things are. According to him, if someone, the science, according to him, and please look this up, let me know if I'm wrong. Someone who transitions after they're 18 or some such age, typically they end up okay, because they made that choice for themselves. But quite often, people who made that change before 18 end up really screwed up. And I think if we are going to be looking at science, we need to be looking at that. DJ Ronnie G, I've studied the modus operandi of scammers, worked a lot of scam victims after the fact. I understand. Mr. Lundell's groovy movies, Jordan Peterson controversial, never. Now, sadly, I learned about him from the self-help side. And if you listen to some of his lectures about mythology and about psychology, and if you're able to ignore his political stuff, they're actually beautiful. They're actually wonderful. His politics, well, while I probably agree with it more than I disagree with it, I can absolutely understand people being upset with him. I don't believe in censoring him. I don't believe in taking away his license, but I can understand people that get upset with him. DJ Ronnie G, the other day I watched a post-transitional girl explain their voice is a bit deeper because they got the therapy after puberty. Otherwise, they basically look the part. Yeah. And again, I don't want to be judgmental about the change itself. I'm not here to bash gays or trans or any of that. I've had gay friends. I've had trans friends. They were actually beautiful, wonderful people. So please, please, please don't think I'm trying to do that. JPRPH1, I'm in the process of cleaning my house to Jordan's dismay. I did not start with my room. More importantly, if done early, there are negative effects on bone health. Yeah, no, and that's just it. There are negative effects. And people, I think, again, not to hurt the gays or the trans or to try to convince them not to do it. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying that we need to do things with the information. We need to make our choices based off of an intelligent thing. I'm not one of these people that says you should never transition, but I do believe that you should make the decision as an informed and intelligent adult, and some do. So I'm not meaning to trash the trans community. But I am here to trash people who deceive children. I'm just putting that out there. DJ Ronnie G, I'm curious whether the lady in that video may have come out ahead since they didn't do it too early. Having a deeper voice than desired should be preferable to having bone issue before you're 60. Yeah. So let's, I got to finish this up. So
I think you And during.
Why are you willing to make this an issue?
Here's the point coming, and this is where it gets personal, both for him and not to be cryptic, but also for me. We have a different set of circumstances, but we're both grieving for the same, similar reasons.
Do you think?
Well, it
sort of like the
happened to one of
natalist issue.
It happened to one of my older boys, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he didn't.
That was a lie right from the outset. No reliable clinician ever believed that. There was never any evidence for that. And also, if there's a higher suicide rate, the reason is because of the underlying depression and anxiety, and not because of the gender dysphoria. And every goddamn clinician knows that too. And they're too cowardly to come out and say it. Right. And so and then we end up in exactly when I saw that lie start to propagate, it just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's like, I see. So you're telling parents that unless they agree to this radical transformation, that their children are going to die, and you think that's moral, and you think that's true. That is so pathological that it's almost incomprehensible.
And there it is. I think that's likely everybody in the chat already knew that a month or two before I did, but that's the answer. I don't want to say this in any way I know that Elon Musk's son, daughter, whatever, likely won't hear this, but I do want to say that I'm not judgmental of the child. They made a choice, and hopefully it is okay with them. But I would suggest that likely Elon Musk doesn't feel that it is. There's some grief going on there. There's some hurt. Anecdotally, I know it because I feel it myself. Now, my son didn't transition, and I don't want to go into the details at all, but I've lost my son. And he is also still alive, but for all intents and purposes, it's as if he's dead, because I'll never see him again. I will likely talk to him a little bit, but not much. He's essentially out of my life. Now, I get it's probably a legitimate criticism of that interview and possibly of this post, that maybe this is more Musk's fault, or maybe this is more my fault than we're admitting or acknowledging. It doesn't matter. When in your heart you believe, right or wrong, that some cruel, lying son of a bitch took your child from you, yeah, you will move. You will do whatever you're able to do, and he's able to do a hell of a lot more than I am. Part of me just wants to say that the politics isn't even what's important. It is. It's what I'm hopping up and down about. It's what everyone's going to report. It's what everyone's going to talk about. When I look at this, I see the grief of a man, probably, I don't know about spoiled, but probably used to being able to control the situation, used to being able to persuade people to do the things that he wants to do. And he has a child, right or wrong, wants to transition. Again, I'm not wanting to judge that action. He's scared. There's the disease that should not be named going around. Everyone's scared. His kid's depressed. He wants to do the right thing for them. The clinicians are telling him, hey, do this and everything will be great. And he does this, and for whatever reason, things aren't great. Now, that child's alive. I looked it up before I did this post, and I think that child is actually upset with Elon, and I don't want to take a side on that. I have no idea. Is the child right? Is the father right? All I really know is I know a grieving father's heart. And so, to my conservative friends, please don't gloat. Don't feel smug. Don't be like, oh yeah, Elon's on our side. We're going to kick ass now. Understand that grief and pain and sorrow are behind this decision, and honor it and respect it. And hopefully God or whatever's out there will reward you for your kindness. If instead we move in hatefulness and anger and, oh, the trans community and the gay community is our enemy and we've got to defeat them, then I don't think that we'll be honored by whatever God or whatever thing is out there. Matt Cheatwood, transitioning should be legal at the same age as voting, drinking, and getting a tattoo. And with that, I agree. I 100% agree. I don't know. I can't speak for Elon, but I 100% agree with that. Before that, I think it should be with parental assent. And in this case, there was parental assent. So there's definitely two sides to this argument. I'm not trying to say, even though I'm commiserating with him and empathizing with him, I'm not 100% sure that I'm on, quote unquote, his side. But I understand his pain. That doesn't, I know that feelings aren't what matter, facts do. I get that. But they act in a way they kind of do, because feelings are what's inspiring some of this. And we need to keep that in mind. Matt Cheatwood, I guess I should have included serving the military, owning a firearm, getting married, consenting to Shrek usual contact. Yeah, 100%. To my liberal friends, I believe, to continue to be intellectually honest, you have to, I'm so trying not to be condescending here. You have to understand that there is humanity on the other side, that there are human motives on the other side. There are people who just want to take care of their families, who just want what's best for their children. And they're making the decisions and they're voting the way they are, as are you, just from that perspective. Now, obviously, one or both sides is badly deceived. And I'm sure you know which side I think that is, but I could be the one that's wrong. Matt Cheatwood, if people argue that children are capable of consenting to life-altering body modifications, consenting to Shreks is far less significant. No, I agree. I made that. Sadly, I made it before you got here. And again, this is going to sound so creepy, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. If it's legit for an underage person to decide what sex they are, it should be legit. And I feel oily just saying it, but the logic of it is true. I should be able to have relations with an underage girl. Now, of course, someone out there is going to just clip that. Hear what the tired blogger said? Take it within the context. Absolutely, I don't think that that's the case. But if one is good, so is the other. If one is bad, so is the other. I have spent all the time that I should on this. Yeah, you're 100% right, Moira. I don't feel right. But I've said what I've said. I hope I've made an impact. I hope I've entertained a little bit. I hope we've all learned a little bit. And if nothing else, it's like with Trump. Elon is not the Antichrist. He's not the great hero. We can honor some of the things he's done. We can be upset about some of the things he's done because he's human. And that's what we have to keep in mind. I'm going to call it a stream because in 5 minutes, Live from Sparkwood is coming up, and I will probably end up being late to it and causing some of you maybe to be late to it, and I hate that. So any of you who get there before me, please let them know. There's a Tired Blogger raid, and that should be the link to Sparkwood. I'm going to call this a stream. And the soft prone music. And I'm going to thank everyone in the chat because everyone was wunderbar. You know, ever since I talked to that spammer, my mouse has been weird. I wonder if there's a connection. I guess I shouldn't care what the spammer looks like. So thank you very much for showing up, Matt Cheatwood. I love the quotes. I love the interaction. You pretty much always have great thoughts to share. Thank you very much. Connie Clearing, the faithful bird woman, one of the greatest wrenches out there. JPRPH1, I could not have done this stream without you. You supplied probably 30 to 40 to maybe 50% of the content. I hope it's okay that I share that with people. The guy's a gem. He ought to have his own thing going, but all in good time. All in good time. Thank you for showing up, Moira. You are also a purveyor of truth and so feisty. And if the world were right, you would be governor and we would not, well, we'd probably still have some messes, but at least we'd have someone who cared about them and did their best about them. Jeff B., thank you for showing up and for your commentary there. Jeff B. is a troglodyte who doesn't know who Elon is. Just joking. You're actually you demonstrated that you're a very intelligent person. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody. Yes, DJ Ronnie G. Thank you for showing up and having very insightful questions. Thank you very much for putting some thought into this because it's pretty true. You made good points. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing Sashi. Yes, the man from the future, Sashi. Always good to see you. You make wonderful commentary there. And hello, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. I need to watch more of your movies. I may just watch one of them tonight. But after Sparkwood and 21, did I miss anybody? I think I have everybody. All right. Thank you all for showing. Thank you for being feisty. No, thank you, Jeff. You're very kind. I'm glad that it is. Thank you for starting the raid. I didn't forget you. I was just late because of my racist ways. Thank you very much, Sashi. You're a wonderful person. I'll try to get through with my spiel. Anyone who tries to tell you that anything other than that life is pain is trying to sell you something. I am, in fact, trying to sell you something. Trying to sell you on the idea that liberty is better than tyranny, and that you are, in fact, capable of running your own life. You should not submit to tyrants. Lastly, you're not going crazy. You're going sane in a world going crazy. Thank you very much, and I will see you in seconds at Live from Sparkwood in 21. Thanks, and have a wonderful evening.